Well, hello again. The Electoral Commission is in court today together with the governing NPP and the opposition National Democratic Congress in an attempt to resolve the issues pertaining to the collation of results in 4 constituencies. Now, this comes after a Supreme Court ruling overturned a High Court decision that granted an NPP application compelling the Electoral Commission to conduct recollations in certain constituencies initially declared in favor of the opposition NDC. The Electoral Commission subsequently declared NPP candidates as winners in 7 constituencies. Now, the NDC, dissatisfied with the recollation, petitioned the Supreme Court, arguing that their candidates' rights to natural justice had been violated because they were not given a hearing at the High Court. Now, proceedings are still currently underway, but let's briefly run you through some of the happenings that have happened in court. So, as we speak now, the NDC has raised preliminary legal objection to the jurisdiction of the court and the competence of the mandamus application. And according to the NDC counsel, Eduji Tamaklo, the instant mandamus application is an election petition disguised as a mandamus application. Eduji is also making oral arguments to back this point. There were brief, fierce challenges between him, Gary Nimakon, who is the counsel for the NPP, and Justin Amanuva, who is also counsel for the Electoral Commission. So as I speak to you now, proceedings are currently underway. We'll be crossing over as and when it ends and speak to our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent who is there for us, Kweku Asante. Right, you're still watching JoyNews Desk. Remember, this bulletin is also live across all our social media handles. As I mentioned earlier, the High Court is hearing the case between the Electoral Commission, the governing New Patriotic Party, and the opposition National Democratic Congress concerning the election petition about the disputed constituencies. We have Obuasi East, Ablekuma North. We also have Tema Central and other constituencies which have been in dispute. You can follow us across our social media platforms. We touch base with our correspondent who is currently at the High Court for us to bring us up to speed with events that are happening there. We've heard from the counsel for the NDC, Eduji Tamaklo, who's been raising some concerns. Also, NPP's counsel, Gary Nimako, has been raising some concerns as well. But in the meantime, scores of caterers under the school feeding program yesterday pitched camp at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, demanding payment of their 2-term arrears for the 2023-2024 academic year. And the caterers, who came from across the country, told Joy News all engagements with government is not yielding any results as they are under pressure from their creditors. My colleague Prince Kuduga was with the caterers who marched to the Controller and Accountant General's office and filed the following report. The caterers, numbering over 100 who cook for basic schools across the country, gathered at the premises of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to demand payment of 2-term arrears owed them.
Without the money, we are not going because our creditors are chasing us, police are chasing us, we cannot even sleep our house because of the things that, the items that we borrow from the suppliers. So that's the reason why we're here. Could you imagine the greater part of here are single parents and they use their own money. You see, the secondary school, government give them the food items, but the school feedings, they buy their own things. That is the prefinance. And could you imagine a single parent has managed to cook for school children a whole year and we are not paying. Massa. It's not easy.
The group then marched to the office of the Controller and Accountant General, where the Controller General went into a closed-door meeting with the leadership of the group. After the meeting, Head of Public Relations at the Controller and Accountant General's office, Cephas Dosu, assured the money will be paid by Tuesday, the 31st of December 2024.
And we have assured them that even before Christmas, a large chunk of the money has been disbursed to the Gender Ministry. The Controller has been in contact with them and has urged them to at least go ahead and disburse whatever amount has been given to them, awaiting the balances that would hit account. And I think based on that, the controller also had a telephone conversation with the Deputy Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, who has also given assurance that they have started processes since last Friday, and they are sure that by tomorrow the monies will hit the individual accounts of the service providers.
The leadership of the association after the meeting expressed confidence in the assurance by the Controller and Accountant General. They were, however, quick to add they will continue their protests until they receive their money. Nana Sechiamo is the president of the association.
After talking to us, he did a follow-up call to find out how far the ministry and the GIBS has reached, and I think they confirmed from the ministry, from the deputy minister, he confirmed that by the close of tomorrow we'll receive our money. So that has given us the assurance that work is still ongoing, and we have the trust in the controller that everything will be fine by tomorrow.
Meanwhile, some of the members say they have no faith in the promises.
It's not true. They've lied to us severally. This is the first time. We've been in this thing for almost 7 years. There's not even one day I'm going to buy willingly. They have to be like this. Talk and talk and talk and curse before they bring it. So what they are saying is a lie. They just want us to go to wherever we are coming from so that they will have time to rest.
The school feeding caterers have gone back to the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, insisting they are not moving until their monies are disbursed. Prince Kwame Kudaga's report for JoyNews. Right, we'll be following that developing story to bring you more on that. Now, it is a proud moment for Ghanaian journalism as JoyNews' Erastus Asaridonko has been honored with a prestigious Order of the Voter member by the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his fearless and impactful journalism. The accolade was presented at the 2024 National Honors and Awards ceremony, where over 80 individuals and institutions were recognized for their outstanding contributions to national development. My colleague Jacqueline Ansuma Yabua has more in the following report.
Mr. Erastus Asaridonko.
The Order of the Voter, Ghana's second highest national honor, recognizes individuals who make exceptional contributions to the nation. The National Honors and Awards, instituted in 1960, the award celebrates innovation, excellence, and hard work across various disciplines. JoyNews' Erastus Asaridonko now joins the ranks of distinguished Ghanaians celebrated for their service to the country. Erastus received the award for his relentless journalism that has exposed the harmful impact of illegal mining on Ghana's environment and public health. His investigative reports have sparked national conversations and put pressure on stakeholders to tackle this pressing issue. Speaking after the ceremony, Erastus expressed gratitude for the recognition and called for more collective action against illegal mining.
To gain recognition nationwide and get a national recognition for your works is exemplary. It's a nice feeling. It's motivating me a lot. But I think that this award would have been better if the issues I raised, which has won me a number of awards, was at least looked at by this administration. To me, that's the missing link. We still have all our major rivers and streams highly polluted, and this administration somehow did not attach so much importance to it, and that hurts. And that, I think, is the missing link with the kind of joy I would have expressed with this award. But the recognition alone speaks to me that at least the presidency knew about my works. They were monitoring. As to why they did not act on it, it's still a mystery.
All right, moving forward, do you think this will still motivate you to still continue doing the good works that you still do out there?
In fact, policing the environment is my job. now, and I'm going to do it better than I have done it under this administration. And definitely we're going to go around again, and we're going to act and work in tandem with our colleagues to police the environment and bring the issues up for discussion. Because mind you, this is where we live, this is our space, and we all, the media fraternity, should act to protect the environment.
Right now, what's the next step? I mean, we are ending this year, moving on to the new year. What's the next step?
I think we have a new administration coming. We want to study what their policies are. And in fact, I'm expecting a lot from the incoming government. At least the first 100 days, I want to see what they will say and do concerning our polluted rivers and streams. We are thinking of going around again and getting a situational report on how Galamsey is affecting our environment still, despite our efforts. And so we're going to go that way. We also have the health effects of Galamsey, people who are getting sick, the numbers, the human touch to this whole experience.
Other awardees including Hawa Kumson, Joseph Osei Mensah Owusu, Osei Che Mensah also shared their excitement and what the recognition means to them.
Well, honestly, I wasn't expecting it, but out of the blue it came, and I was told that today was going to be the day. So you do your best for God and country, and if people think that you deserve to be recognized in the way that has been done, it's going to inspire other people who work with a clean conscience and a clean heart for the country. It's not about money, but it's about doing your best.
Recognized and are rewarded, do more. Okay. When you're recognized and rewarded, you do more. For me, it is the most important statement of recognition of the little things you'll be able to do for the country.
I'm really excited for this award. I never thought of it. I never dreamt of it. But by God's grace, today I'm here as one of the awardees for this country by His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I'm very excited.
In all, over 80 individuals and institutions were recognized, with the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, receiving the highest award of the land.
Order of the Star of Ghana officer goes to His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. You have been a steadfast advocate for religious tolerance and national unity, exemplifying leadership that transcends divisions and promotes peace and harmony among Ghanaians.
In his last address during the National Honors and Awards, President Akufo-Addo emphasized the significance of the honorees and their commitment to national development.
There's a celebration of some of the people whose quiet yet impactful efforts inspire us all to dream bigger and reach higher. This tradition goes back to 1960, when our first president, Kwame Nkrumah, inaugurated the National Honors and Awards Scheme. From then till now, this ceremony has been a cornerstone of our national journey, a way of saying thank you to those whose selflessness and brilliance light the way for the rest of us.
From shining a light on Galamsey to holding power accountable, Erastus Asare Donko's recognition is a win for journalism and environmental advocacy. For Joy News, I'm Jacqueline Ansma Yaboa.
Your remarkable career has been marked by numerous milestones, including your tenure as a prominent news anchor, documentary.
Congratulations once again to Erastus Asare Donko and all the award winners. And as we told you earlier, we're going to be bringing you updates as we have them from the High Court, where the Electoral Commission, the NDC and the NPP are there to try and settle the disputed results from 4 constituencies in the just ended parliamentary and presidential elections on December 7th. And the NDC has been raising preliminary legal objection to the jurisdiction of the court and the competence of the mandamus application. And according to the lead counsel for the NDC, Eduji Tamaklo, the instant mandamus application is an election petition disguised as a mandamus application. Eduji is also making oral arguments to back this point, and there was brief fierce challenges between him, Gary Nimako, who is the counsel for the NPP, and Justin Amanuvo, who is the counsel for the Electoral Commission. And the NDC has been raising some concerns with that as well. The objection is also challenging the competence of the application, and according to the lead counsel for the NDC and their parliamentary candidates, Eduji Tamaklo, the mandamus application is an election petition which has been disguised, and the High Court does not have the jurisdiction to hear the same. I will be bringing you update as and when we have them from the High Court. Now to other stories this morning. The 43rd commemoration of the 31st December Revolution is currently underway at the Nungua Town Park in Accra. This year's event, themed Victory 2024, Time to Reset Ghana, is being marked by the NDC and key party stalwarts. The annual event commemorates the military coup led by the late Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings on the 31st of December 1981, which toppled Dr. Hilary Mann's People's National Party government. It was driven by a desire to address economic mismanagement, corruption and governance inefficiencies. My colleague Collins Frimpong is present at the event and joins me live with updates. Collins, what more can you tell us?
Yes, may come, yes, may go, but the revolution has come to stay. Revolution has a long way to go, but has come to stay. Shall we put our hands together for ourselves? Joy, thank you, Vuvuzales. This is our first gathering after our massive victory. And there is cause for us to be very happy. And this has extended into the celebration today. And so you see that because of our excitement, we are doing things that we are not supposed to do. Chaboy. So I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for coming. And most especially to thank the planning committee for bringing our celebration here to Krowa constituency. National Chairman of the great NDC party, Honorable Johnson Asedu Nketia, aka General Mosquito. Our indefatigable General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Fiavi Quickly. Council of Elders members present, the chiefs and people of Lungwa, religious leaders of Lungwa, former ambassadors, former MPs, and MPs, all protocol observed. On behalf of all cadres of Ghana, I salute the leadership of the National Democratic Congress from the national to branch levels, and also to salute all the cadres here present and those at home and elsewhere. I salute all of you. I salute you for vigorously campaigning to win the 7th December presidential and parliamentary elections in an all-time record manner. Through the dedication, resilience, vigilance, and positive defiance of the machinations of the Electoral Commission and its allies to use dubious means to rig the elections, and the divine intervention of the Almighty, the emphatic show of solidarity and support for the NDC led to the resounding and resetting agenda have been overwhelming. For cadres, we knew the road would be muddy and rough, but we were highly optimistic and convinced of victory. Our only fear, perhaps, was a margin which would avoid all controversies of claim of victory, knowing the diabolical nature of the adherents of the unholy clique of property-owning democracy. Shamelessly, like it happened during the 2020 elections, the new Patriotic Party, in connivance with the Electoral Commission and some members of state security agencies, 9 constituencies were fraudulently declared for them, defying all rules of law and social justice. But thanks to our legal team, the case of 4 of these constituencies is being heard today, and we pray for the best result. For us cadres, the victory has come at a time that Ghana needed a reset badly. The Nana Addo Bawumia administration for the past 8 years has reduced Ghana's image to its lowest regional and international protocol. To reset Ghana and build the country that we all want should not remain on paper as a manifesto pledge. We must diligently have to work round the clock to ensure that the campaign promises do not hang but firmly rooted on the ground to fulfill the overwhelming trust and support for the NDC, not only by party faithfuls, but all progressive forces and personalities. Beyond the victory is the task of rebuilding Ghana at its best glory within the Committee of Nations, especially as the shining star of Africa. There is the need to consolidate the gains of the revolution and NDC by making sure that the key issues of the 2024 manifesto, such as the 24-hour economic policy, the establishment of the Women's Bank, job creation initiatives for the teeming unemployed youth, aggressive agribusiness program, and the bold initiative of the $10 billion big push policy for the provision of strategic infrastructure development, which are aimed at improving our roads, hospitals, schools, housing, factory, water, and electricity systems. To sustain the reset agenda, there is the urgent need to imbibe in the youth a great sense of patriotism with training programs that will build a new human material, not only for the party, but the nation as a whole. In fact, as stressed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama during his marathon campaign, the resetting of the moral fabric of the Ghanaian is as equally important as the provision of socio-economic infrastructure. the lack of fear for authority, the aged, the civic duties and responsibilities is legendary under the Nana Addo Bawumia maladministration. In conclusion, Comrade Chairman, Caterer's pledge, as we always do, to support the Reset Ghana agenda with all our might. We promise to work with the government and party towards the realization of both tangible and intangible results as spelled out by the People's Manifesto. As the true vanguard of the NDC, we pledge to police, so to speak, the implementation processes from the beginning to its logical consummation by offering our services to monitor, supervise, and whip up enthusiasm of participation by all forward-looking citizens. By this resounding victory, the principles and values of the 31st December 1981 revolution, that is probity, accountability, transparency, and social justice, have been given the rare chance of being instilled in the party and government, principally to serve as a guide to promoting discipline, prudence, hard work, respect for rights and freedoms of others, and above all, the fear of God. Finally, we want to request that there are unfinished businesses, and we would want to suggest or propose to National that as early as possible, a constitution review committee should be set up to start reviewing the party's constitution ahead of the forthcoming Congress. We also want to add our voices to the numerous voices, and especially to our MPs, that they should retain the Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker Alban Sumana Kingsford Babin. Long live the Caterer movement. Long live the NDC. Long live Ghana. Aluta! 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 Continue unabated. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Chairman of UCF, that's the United Caterer Front. We acknowledge the presence of all our members from the diaspora. We also acknowledge the presence of all our Zongo chiefs. We thank you for being part of this event. The next speaker is our host MP, Honorable Dr. Na Momo Lati. Honorable, please come and momo it.
Right, so those were live visuals from the 43rd celebration of the 31st December Revolution, where you had Shine Gave, who's the UCF National Chairman, talking about the victory, or the overwhelming victory of the NDC on the 7th of December, and also asking that Alban Bagbin be retained as Speaker. We'll go back to the event's grounds later, but in the meantime, the Ghana National Fire Service says it has recorded a total of 5,596 fire outbreaks between January to November this year, and 5,200 as against 5,258 within the same period the previous year, representing a 6.43% increase. Now, in the last couple of days, the service has been firming up its acts in checking isolated cases in parts of the country. Places such as Koforidia, Choko, and Ashaiman have recorded fire cases. The service has been swift in controlling the spread of these infernos to avert any catastrophe. As the year draws to a close, the service has been taking stock and strategizing as regards checking cases of fire outbreaks and its effects on the Ghanaians. So what can we expect as Ghanaians? Well, let's have a conversation on that. And joining me on Zoom with more is the head of public relations of this service. I understand we don't have him now, but we'll try and connect to him to tell us what they are strategizing ahead of the year. So in your shots now are citizens who are trying to douse an inferno, one of the several thousands that happened this year. And the statistics that have come does not include December. I understand he's joining us now. Good morning. Thank you very much for your time. That's the public relations of the Ghana National Fire Service Divisional Officer 2, Desmond Aqua. Desmond, I believe you have joined us on the line. Quickly, let's do a quick year in review. Which was your toughest fire to fight, and how did you sail through it all? Hello, Desmond, can you hear me? Kindly unmute your microphone so we can hear you.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Good. Yes, I wanted to find out from you, over the 5,000 fires that you happened to fight, which of them was the toughest incident, and how did you sail through it?
Well, let me take this opportunity to say a very good morning to your cherished viewers. Somewhere, I think, later part of the year, I think within the last quarter, we experienced a very Herculean fire at Zongolane in Accra. And it took us barely a week to be able to deal with that fire situation. And looking at the structure and how we had a lot of cracks and difficulty in assessing the seat of fire, we had a very tough time in dealing with such a compartment fire. So, but we sailed through, and at the end of the day, we were able to salvage a lot of properties and that particular structure from the ravages of fire in such a way that no life was lost.
Right, I remember that incident very well, but when that happened, you did indicate that there were old appliances in that facility, and also the facility was a bit old. Was that really the case, or something else came up afterwards?
Yes, if you consider that structure, that structure consists of a lot of compartments. And originally, they were meant for small shops, but they were converted into warehouses where a lot of combustible, flammable materials were stored in there. So it made firefighting a bit challenging for us. It was very difficult to fully get access to the seat of the fire. So as you pour water on it, the water does not get to the source of the fire. And that is what caused us to spend a lot of days there. And it caused a lot of cracks within the structure. So we were also not too sure as to whether to commit more men into the building, because we wanted to ensure that none of our men suffered any form of injury or ended up maybe dying through that fire. And that is what we succeeded in doing. But ultimately, we were able to salvage the entire building from total collapse.
Some of the criticisms that have come from Ghanaians is that you usually get to fire incidences late, and even when you do get there, there's limited availability of resources. Sometimes you have to get more water and so on. Let's talk about resources and logistics. Do you have enough?
Yes, as an evolving institution, we cannot say that we have enough, but we have made issues known to government and to the good people of this country. Just as we are growing, we will need to be available in the various communities that, and even the constituencies that we have, but that is not the case. So we would want to urge the assemblies who are the local level to prioritize establishing more fire stations within the community, so that at any point in time when our services are needed and we are called upon, we spend less time. But because we are not everywhere, that is why sometimes we spend a bit of time to move to incident scene. So it is not through no fault of ours, but management also put in measures to ensure that we position some of our fire engines strategically to be able to deal with it. So right from January to date, we have done predictably well in terms of responding to fires. We have done over 100 fires. Even 100 is an understatement. We have done well in terms of our response time. We have responded to more incidences within 5 minutes. That is according to the international standard. That is what we are supposed to do, and we have done that. I remember somewhere in February when Ashaiman Market was gutted, the timber market, we got there in less than 3 minutes. Quite recently, when Kumasi Kwadaso Market was also gutted, we got there in less than 8 minutes. How do you call it? Kaswa Market too got gutted some few months ago, and we got there in less than 7 minutes. So the examples are countless. I cannot even recall all now. But we are trying as much as possible to bring back our old engines. Quite recently, you put out a news out there that over 50% of our engines were down.
Right.
And management did not sit down. Now we can count over 85% of our appliances now in commission, and they are working. And we must be able to say emphatically that EastEnders are old, and every now and then they break down, even as much as we try to put them back on the road. So we are still in wait for what government promised us to equip us, give us modern fire tenders and other equipment to help us to be able to serve the good people of Ghana. But notwithstanding, we have intensified our efforts, and we believe that with the intensified efforts, we are going to record low cases of fire incidents. Even though the picture that we have now suggests that the fire incidents as of November has gone up by 6.43%. Yes. All is not lost. The same figures tells us that 30% of these fires were extinguished by members of the public even before we got to the scene, meaning that a section of the populace are now getting attuned to our educational messages, and that they have now been empowered to be able to deal with fires at the nascent or the initial stages. And we believe that going forward with our intensified efforts through social media, through traditional media, and then our activation of our market task force, the home fire educators, and all the strategies that we have been able to put in place, we are going to get these numbers up maybe in the coming years. But we want to also implore the Ghanaian, the general populace to adhere to our safety messages, because a lot of these fires are preventable. And we have a responsibility to ensure that we put in measures in our various premises and facilities to ensure that we keep the fires at bay.
Now, speaking about that, there were fire incidences at marketplaces, residential apartments, commercial buildings as well. What was the common cause of these fires across board?
Well, if you look at the figures that we have done well over 30% of these fires emanating from our domestic setting. Meaning that there are a lot of things that we are doing in our homes and residential apartments that is not really helping us to be able to keep the fires at bay. And the most common causative factor is electrical fault. Electrical fault is very broad, stemming from egg faults, stemming from overhead cables, stemming from short circuits, arcing, and a whole lot of faults that come up from these electrical appliances and circuitry. And therefore, it behoves on us to always ensure that we engage competent, certified electrical engineers and then contractors to be able to do the electrical works for us in order to stem out these electrical fires from our domestic setting. And the next leading cause of fire is gas leakages. A lot of people use gas in cooking, but they tend not to put in all the safety protocols. You would go and you will find people put heavy objects on the regulators and will not even care to even change the tube that connects the stove or the burner to the cylinder. And these are the sources of the gas leakages. And that is even maiming people, causing a lot of people to get injured through these burns and all that. So in as much as we have intensified our education, we will look at all these causative factors and then utilize them in our educational messages to ensure that people adhere to some of these safety. And around this time of the year, people tend to be a bit more careless with the use of naked light, especially around our residential apartment. We tend to gather rubbish, we tend to weed around, we tend to burn them, but we tend not to put in safety measures to ensure that the refuse that we are burning, we stand there to ensure that they burn to completion, and that even if things escalate, we have extinguishers or buckets of water to contain the situation. They just set the fires to the bush and then leave it. People also depend on the natural vegetation for game or for firewood or charcoal and wild honey and all that. And this is not the time for us to engage in such activities. So we would continue to leverage on the over 6,000 fire volunteers that we have trained across our farming communities who are helping to kind of educate the masses on the dangers of ensuring that we keep the naked fires out of our natural setting. Right. We tend to involve ourselves in alternative livelihood empowerment programs like snail raising and probably keeping bees within our backyard to ensure that we get some of these amenities right from our backyard in order not to put pressure on our forests or the natural resources.
Okay, Desmond, briefly before I take leave of you, tell us, we are looking at January, which is just a few hours from now. We know that in January, there's a lot of fire outbreaks across the country. What should Ghanaians do to at least, minimize the fire outbreaks that we usually witness in January?
Well, what I can say is that we should all be each other's keeper. We know the common things that we do that leads to these fire outbreaks. We should be cautious with the use of naked lights. If we have kids in the house, we need to ensure that things such as matches, lighters, and then coils and candles are kept far from them and even kept under lock in order to prevent them from utilizing them. And then also, if there is any emergency that requires our services, be it road crash, be it fire, be it any form of entrapment, just call us as early as possible on our emergency number 112-192 or 030-277-2446, 030-277-2446 as early as possible. And then we would also beckon to your call, respond promptly to offer you the best of service that we are known for.
All right, I want to thank you very much for your time this morning. Desmond is with the Ghana National Fire Service. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more.